Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook on Wednesday the 13th of November. Almost want to say Friday then. There's no point wishing a week away, eh? So, before we look at the markets, let's just look at the risk events that will be occurring today. We've already seen the Australian data coming out. The wage inflation is falling slightly. I was looking at not at the Australian data, but I was looking at some of the French data that sort of came out this morning. It just sort of gives us a bit of a feel what's going on behind, and it was suggesting that the French unemployment rate is likely to run up to about 8%. There we go. It's right at the top here. Run up to about 8%. It's not particularly good, obviously. It's not where they would like it, but it's a difficult game they're playing. Anyway, that's the problem with the European. I can't call it experiment anymore, can I? But the principle of the European shared currency is you can't be so nimble with what you want to do. So let's inflation data at 1:30 this afternoon. That's what I meant to point out. Important. We've got the core inflation, US inflation data there at 1:30. I want to go back to here actually just to see. We've got a number of speakers out there from 2:30 onwards. Actually, Kashkari speaking again. He was speaking yesterday, so that's running really from 1:30, which can create some volatility in the markets. So let's look at the technicals. I was just looking at the euro. Now, if this wasn't an ABC correction, we'd expect at least a 1-to-1 move for this sort of first wave to the downside, which gives us somewhere around about just below 105. In fact, if we go back to the weeklies, you can just see it a little bit closer. So we're looking down at these prior lows here, and there's the third wave is normally the biggest, so it could go on even further in this current play. So there we go. That's just looking at it, because once something starts coming down like this, you start thinking, well, is it going to find support here? Well, the support, yes, it's got support levels, and it's been breaking those over here. So we are in a bit of a free fall situation, a gradual free fall situation here, with lower highs, lower lows coming in. The retracements are still quite little, so the retracements are coming in. This is broken already today, but we could see it tickle off later. Again, some of these moves, actually this one came in at really early at 7-8 o'clock. It sort of tootled off the other day. Yesterday, well, it was 6-7 o'clock, it was almost down. It didn't go a great deal further, to be fair, but it's setting up now, and it's a case of whether you want to be looking to get a multiple back down to about 105. Could be 100 pips in the overall movement if you're a bit patient. So there's potential there on that euro dollar for the downside. The pound likewise, really. I mean, it's a little bit more difficult to measure in terms of its A, B, C, but there's the sort of A wave, B wave up to here, and then the C wave down. It's in the same sort of area. Got quite ugly in terms of its overall price. We saw this wave within the wave pulling back last week, but it's been selling off for most of this week. Coming off, it has run into its weekly S2 area now, so the probability of it going a lot more this week is lower. But in fact, let me just go back to the euro and see where we are relative to its weeklies. I see it's only just through its S1. I didn't pick it up. My subconscious does a lot of reading of the markets, and it's only things like when you see the support areas here, you start reading it. Maybe the euro's got more to go. The pound equally looks weak this morning. As I said, it is running into a bit of support there, so you need to watch that. But if it breaks it, well, it's got its S1, maybe even its S2 today. Again, yesterday in the afternoon there, we are seeing some of these moves really coming through in the US session a bit more. We've seen it for a long time, actually, running more US based time frames, we've seen some of the sort of bigger moves, and we certainly saw it yesterday pushing on there. And there is the potential we could continue to say with these. The pound looks soft there. You're just finding your own little setup in terms of where you're happy to take the trade. I think the euro looks better personally. The US dollar yen still pushing. We're seeing the US still push up here. Higher lows coming through. Still heading northbound. Is not. I mean, the 155 area they're classing as a sort of a key level, but it's not really doing a great deal, is it? I just think this could push on through the way it's looking at the moment. It's got the higher lows coming through. Yes, that was a sort of quite a strong retrace we had, but that was really after the news there, and since then we've been pushing up like everything else. Or the dollar's getting stronger, like against the yen as it is against the other markets. Australian dollar, yesterday my little old target got hit on that. It's only a 1.6, but it did go on a little bit, but not a great deal. It's still got a potential to push on further. Looking soft, but these retraces coming up almost back to the previous one. We'll see. It's not looking quite as shiny, but it's more an afternoon play again. I mean, it's yesterday afternoon. Look, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. It started coming off better. It looked like it was going to spoil things at one stage. Very simple trade, this, by the way. Again, technically, if you're measuring these waves, in fact, this wave looks like it's gone a little bit. Let's just pop it on here. If I can get it there roughly. So I'm taking it to the top over here. It's only done 618, so it's still got scope to push on there. Right, that's the Aussie dollar, so it has got scope. Maybe more this afternoon if you're looking for an entry rather than this morning, though. We have seen a lot of drift, and the trades I took on Monday were both afternoon entries. US dollar cat, it's okay though, you can plan for it. You can set alerts, which I'd actually put a sell stop in on them both in the end. The US dollar CAD still pushing up here, higher lows going through there. The Canadian dollar remains weak, and I think it's got possibly even more scope than some of the others. It did sort of retrace quite a long way here, but that disbelief, that sort of belief in it in terms of the Canadian dollar getting stronger again, but it just never happened, and it's had a decent move, and still, to me, looks positive. I keep on saying you come back to the higher picture, and you can see it's around these all-time highs, but near-term highs or whatever. Still got the scope to push on through. Right, New Zealand dollar is very similar to the Aussie dollar here. I won't spend a lot of time on it. It's pushed off and looking like it's got further downside, but maybe a bit like the Aussie in terms. Actually, I mean, you really want to be looking at again, just putting a little trend line on there. It's another little flag sort of pattern there. Just need to wait until it starts breaking down the bottom of the trend line. It could run it, of course. I'd much rather it run into its daily pivot first and kick that out the way, but if it doesn't and starts breaking down, well, there is the scope. But again, with this, I would look at it this afternoon as opposed to trying to catch it this morning. It might just give us a fake this morning. US dollar Swissy, it's continuing to work its way up slowly, not a great deal there. Other pairs such as Euro Aussie, Euro just marginally stronger than the Aussie. It's not really doing a great deal. It's getting more into its sort of choppy zone that it often goes through here, so maybe it needs to shape up a little again. Euro CAD, one of my sort of favourites. The euro really has come up, and yeah, I was looking for the break of the lows here, and it's actually happened, and we've seen a continuation, and I haven't benefited from this so far. I was looking for sort of a retracement back to the lows, but it just never happened, which shows you how weak it is. Effectively, we could have more downside yet, and I will be looking at opportunities. It's gone a little bit at the moment, but again, it can be a bit of a drifter. This looks actually a little bit more. The pivot's very pinched. It's tightening up, and quite often when you've seen some decent moves previously, you get this sort of consolidation phase, and well, hopefully we'll get an opportunity to take the next step down. Okay, so there's some of the majors and some major crosses. Was it the pound Aussie I was in the other day? That was the other one, which I mean, it broke down quite nicely, but it was a bit of an. I was looking back at this, and it was an each way bet effectively when this set up, and it triggered the daily pivot at the time, broken down there, but being a bit of an each way bet, perhaps it was. It would have been a little bit more sensible to leave it. However, a slightly bigger stop might have helped as well. It was only about 25 pips or something like that. He's looking for his. I didn't write the numbers down on it, but it was only a couple of pips more, and it would have still been sitting in that. Anyway, it's working its way off still slowly, but not as well as it was. And I think the US dollar Aussie is a easier trade. This is getting quite choppy when you start focusing on it a bit more. Right, moving on. Gold up a little bit this morning, but it's had quite a sell-off. As I said yesterday, some of the bigger money starting to leave it a little bit, and I do wonder if we're going to see the big money is really slow. The technicals are what you have to look at, and this has been putting lower highs in. There is the scope for this to continue rolling over a little bit. It's just like everything else, stronger dollar, weaker gold, weaker oil normally. Talking to oil, it's pretty much following the same picture in terms of coming off here yesterday, which, as I said, what you generally see, the stronger the oil dollar price, normally see a weaker oil price unless there's other reasons, but things have gone a bit quiet at the moment. Weird old day yesterday, so it had the 2 o'clock move there, and then it broke on the 3. It wasn't for me yesterday, but it did come back to its lows at least there, and it does look a little bit soft as we're going in here, but again, it's an afternoon trade. My preference, S&Ps. So the S&Ps, we're currently running towards a third day on the road to the downside, but it is such a small amount, and these sort of movements can soon be washed away. So it's far too early for me to be looking at the short side of this at the moment. It's normally with the Trump side of things, it would be pushing earlier up more, but there is the risk, and he still hasn't named all the members of his team, and that's what the markets are a little bit concerned of. I say a little bit, massively concerned at. The FTSE, chop, it moved off yesterday again, so it's starting to get into more of a trend there. It's done a little AB. We're in the C move potentially here. I mean, last week it was ugly as sin. This week it's moving a bit better. It's got scope. I would suggest this is the equity market with the best downside. I think the current government could really do it in nicely with some of their ideas. Higher national insurance, etc., paid by the companies. It puts a lot of cost on, which causes cutting of jobs, etc. It's a lot of common sense that's sort of gone a bit missing. Anyway, Incompetence? I don't know. Anyway, it's my opinion. So still moving down here and looking like it's got further downside the FTSE. Obviously it's just opening at the moment there. The DAX also off this morning on the futures here. Now this is looking softer than it had. Solid day down in the end yesterday. I believe I was talking about potential support here because we were running through here slightly higher lows in there, not significant higher low, but all the same it did give a higher low, but it never came from the pivot there, never turned around in the next hour, so just leave it, step it alone. But now it has put a confirmed lower high in here, and a more significant lower high being that as well. Does look quite soft on the weeklies, say weeklies, the 4 hourlies this week to date. There we go. As the breakdown had already happened, it just never managed to push on upwards that far. Short-term time frame looks soft as well. Okay, that's pretty much it for me this morning at the moment. So likes of the euro looking pretty decent for further downside. Just need to step into it carefully, but even the Aussie is starting to move back down again now, so we'll see how things materialise this morning. But I will be looking, certainly with the Aussie New Zealand more this afternoon, but we'll be looking to see if I can get into maybe the euro or the pound, euro preferably this morning. Right, leave it there. Have a good day. Bye for now.